Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you all. I've got a couple little pieces for you. This first one is my reaction to some very kind suggestions somebody made. They said, Rick, you're okay, just that you rhyme all the time and you're so goddamn upbeat. Can't you, don't you know that like morose poets get more traction? And I said, I think you make a valid point. I do hear the occasional poet who moans, but I have to follow my muse, wherever she leads. So here we go. This is called He Lost His Morose. It gave up the ghost. Well intentioned, yet honest friends, I guess, hoped to coax him from out of this mess. The constant wry, sarcastic humor steered him away from his great potential for success. If only at last he could laud distress, a doleful childhood, estranged at birth, instead of all this loathsome clunking mirth. And merrymaking on top of that. How about you try to cry or perhaps wear an undertaker's hat? Or maybe a strange and melancholy shiftless, black and soft stepping cat. Poe had his raven, that's for sure, parked there above his chamber door on a bust of Pallas. Maudlin, sure. One thinks honest, one old Yorick skull perhaps, or a heart a-thumping neath a wooden floorboard mat. But irony and merry wit? What the brighter writers market first-nighters to do with this? Your work not only rhymes, but it does so many times within a line. Such wit you should immediately stop and quit. Not the sort of stuff we favor. What if your Herculean labors? We cannot take you any more serious than your humor, like Jim Nabors at the opera labors unrequited. And this you must know, despite how clearly it shows you yet, you're somehow still delighted, and yet. You must muck about and moan and wail. That's the way that Ahab said we'll land the whale. And old Queequeg, with his tattooed face, he knew exactly where it was they threw the bones, that heaps of sorrow gained you space. And if you cannot scare the editor, he'll never enlarge you and be your debtor. Instead, in the margins you'll be left ill better to the letter. You must give them sleepless nights and take tall tales of ghosties. Get it right? No more the joyous chuckles of yours. Really, you must try to scare them and freak them out. Then zoot allures. They're unprepared unless you sing a song of melancholy. Your skills they'll doubt, no doubt you'll worry. Tell tall tales of beatings that you once endured, and just how many countless nights brigands threaten you with swords. Hearty laughs leave them oddly puzzled. Afeard it is they'd check to see if your wine they'd guzzled. An optimist, my friend, the signals are weak. Canst thou not study how to scream, bitch, complain, and shriek? Far better, wert thou a disgruntled fellow, that's the way thou shalt find the chance of success will be double. Cacophonous, right? Your rhymes. Uneven, friend, are your lines so scant. No simple target to match the scholar's plan. They do not conform themselves by stately measure. And then, you, unconventional, 3 rhymes a line, doth mark itself clearly an unwanted treasure. Quite outside the formal, fickle, favored, savored, mournful chime, canst thou not find in a darkened alley? Canst thou thy hero refine? Well, says I, a callow youth, then I did hunt the darkened stair, the stony cell, the hangman's threadbare, uncarpeted and gravelled flare. But strike me at 13 or so, thereabouts, it's all seen through a mask of gloom and doubt. Thou might just spend a lonely fortnight outside love's jurisdiction. There's the route, and that's no fiction. Would I not lonely and requited sojourner remain, if only I kept time with sadness, and thence a woeful cynic remain? Do not flowers bloom and flourish each and every spring, that they might encourage even the cynic drives his cart, and clumsy wheel o'ertop the heart? Where blossoms the softest petal only to crush and break yon young wing, then, good sir, a grand mal mistake thou shalt make. So much of that. That's as close as I'll get to moaning. And then one more. This is called Churlish Moments, and you may guess who this is about. Churlish moments can occur when with tedious momentum frictions spark and stir, and when afternoons turn quite hazy, I do aver, whether from Canadian forest blazy or pollen swirling in the breeze, brings squinting reddened eyes and random sneeze. Sometimes disputations veer, extending off the road from cementous and tendentious snarly barley sneer, when vexations with some comrade bring out some nasty dusty tattletales from the armoire drawers that rattle when they pulled out 'em clear to tattle. And when you go unwind some and one's former friend, do you reach into the breechy, screechy closet to prove something nefarious, hilarious, and only to offset the nauseous? Some bloody, splashing, lashing them, some sparkling, sharpling, pointed fact, only to exact further pain and scarring on one own bent and bloody back. Now that's some attack. Such fruitless blunders then are chased up the stairs and through the ancestral vestibules and stately corridors packed untidy with some haste. The upshot, both sides do some damage, and while their nearby friends would prefer an end, they'd get both of these frizzled enemies board the same small shuttled carriage. Well, says I, all the loot has not yet been pillaged, 'cause hey, there's still some silver staining the tillage. Can't you two reconcile for a bit till we can complete the complete loadout of the treasury and then split? Can't you end all this tendentious snarling and sit down together and have a carling? Or you still, like ill-mannered youngsters behaving in a sandlot punching, remain there yelling and pelting each other with rocks, only to forget to collect those juicy precious stocks? You almost had 'em every one, and then you'll dine with wine and all them tasty ham hocks. Maybe Trump and Elon will reconcile. I pray. Thank you so much. But I will warn you one other thing. This Friday at 7 Eastern Time, we're doing a showing of the premiere of Kennerly, the homage to Victor Hugo. And then Saturday morning at 9, we're doing the same thing for our friends in Asia and Europe. So if you're interested, drop me a note. You can see the premiere. Thanks again.